are you? Okay, so I was really excited because I think what I'm going to do is start this new kind of series, or yeah, I guess you would call it like a series kind of thing, because I feel like it's very important to not only talk to you guys randomly about things, but there kind of needs to be a sequence in order for us to have a transformational change. So I'm hoping that through the next couple of months, well, through the rest of the year, that we'll be able to work on these type of elements so that we can transition from one thing into the next, so that we can have this overall transformation. Because I think that if you get things sporadic all over the place, that you really can't incorporate those things as naturally as if you are doing it within like layer upon layer. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think so. Like, you get me, right? Okay, so I know that you're not children, but I wanted to give a demonstration because I thought that it was really cool. And I think I had talked to you guys before about when I was explaining about my Mermaid Junkie, like when I created the English settlement, that I homeschooled my children, like 2 of my kids. I homeschooled them for a couple of years each. And while I was going through psychology courses and things like that, it also helped me to understand like the right-sided brain. Like, my kids are very artistic, and the 2 that I actually homeschooled. And so I think that if you learn by something that you're interested in, it really helps you to be able to learn at a more rapid pace, and it helps you to also be able to understand concepts better if they're related to something that you enjoy. So I wanted to talk to you about a particular metaphor, because our particular subject, after I had done some like surveys for finding out what they struggle with, and what the basic feedback, even for girls, the teens between 12 and 17 years old, was stress, which I found that a little bit surprising, for stress being for teenage girls. Maybe stress in a different way compared to like a mom that's in the workplace, but nonetheless, they still had stress was their #1 top issue that they were struggling with. And on top of stress, a lot of those things that were umbrellaed under that was money, health, failing parents, you know, becoming ill. Did I say money already? All those things under that particular emotion, which is stress. So I wanted to talk about that because I thought that if that's your #1 biggest issue that you want to get a handle on, or you want to understand more clearly why you're having the stress, because I'm more about the where I'm about pragmatic things, ways to figure out how to have and come to a conclusion and a solution for our problems. I also feel like that it's very important to get down to the deep waters of why we are having stress to begin with. Because if you can understand why you're having stress, it will help you to understand and facilitate through that barrier at a quicker and a more rapid pace. It's like a known psychological fact that if you understand why you have certain emotions and why you have certain feelings and are going through certain things in your life, if you know how to get through them and navigate through them, then you will be able to do it at a more rapid pace than just sitting there like flopping around in a boat. Like, if we want to use an analogy, because you know I'm all about analogies and metaphors, and you're just flopping around, it's like keep reliving. It's like Groundhog Day. Keep reliving the same thing every single day, and it's insanity. So I think that stress has not gone away. It's not gotten, you know, no one's got a hold over it and figured it out. But I think that I have discovered several ways that I have found that help me not to be stressed. So I'm going to share a couple of those with you. But I do want to talk about what our problem is. And the way, and I hope you can see this. I don't know if you can see this on the video. I'm hoping that you can. But okay, so this is a map, okay? This is my little artistic way of drawing a map, so bear with me. But this says stress, okay? And then here's our treasure, right? We all want to not have stress. And then this is a map of the Atlantic Ocean, okay? So we always want to be towards north, like headed north, because that is our divine center. And anyway, so it just says Mediterranean Sea, Black Sea, Red Sea. Can you see that up there? Can you see that? And then this says anchoring beliefs. And so a lot of times if we have anchoring beliefs, that is the biggest, one of the biggest issues, another issue that we have. Okay, so here's my thing. So say, for instance, I give you this map, okay? And I say, okay, I need for you to find the treasure, right? I give you all of these different, I give you the keys, I give you the map, okay? And I give you all of these, the directions, how to navigate, the compass and everything, right? And I say, okay, so I need for you to find the treasure. But I failed to tell you that you had a map of the Pacific Ocean, not the Atlantic. So you're sitting there fumbling around, trying to read the logbook, trying to understand all this kind of stuff, trying to work off the compass. And no matter how many times you try to do that or try to even navigate it a different way, and I come to you and say, well, you're just not being positive enough. It's still not going to matter what I do to give you, to help you to try to find the treasure, because the math is wrong. So a lot of times I think that's what it is. We don't have the map to understanding what our issues are and what struggles we're having. So we never get to the treasure, which is, here's my little treasure box. It's kind of like a little metaphor. It helps when, when I would teach kids and stuff. So, but anyway, 75% of Americans say that the reason that they fight with their spouses and family members and relatives is because of stress. And half of Americans say that they actually experience real physical and emotional trauma and symptoms from stress, which I believe that, because if you had been watching a couple of my videos before, I had told you that I've been struggling with a lot of backache down in my lower back, on my spine. And the metaphysical for back problems is feeling not supported, feeling like you don't have enough support financially, or feeling like you don't have enough support emotionally. And so it actually triggers all of those things within your body, because your body's made up of cells. So if you have all of these things that are going on inside of you, all of these emotions, and you're not taking care of them, I feel like the reason that we have all of these physical ailments, or start having these emotional symptoms and physical symptoms, is because I feel like I've discovered that I think that it's God's way and our higher self of saying that we're not addressing things. We're not living authentically and internally with who we are. And so when we don't do that, our body will ultimately start failing, because you can only do so many things for so long before things start escalating. It's kind of like universal laws. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's laws for everything, no matter what. And so if you, if you have governing laws for everything, that means that if you're not doing something if you're not living authentically clear within yourself and loving yourself and all of those things that you need to be mentally healthy, and by not having stress, it's just natural. You're going to start breaking down. So that is our issue, right? Okay, so I wanted to talk about a couple of different things about, to give you 3 different methods by which our solutions are achieved. Okay, so these are just very simplistic, and I'm starting out very small because I want this, like I said, to be kind of a web series, and I want it to continually progress through, to take us to different levels and different dimensions within ourselves, so that we can layer upon layer, and then we can become a whole transformed person. But you can't have all of that stuff be thrown at you like some vomited up situation, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just vomit information all over you and you like, okay, well, that's not tactical. I don't know what she's supposed to expect me to do with that information. Like, yeah, you told us we have stress recall. Now tell me how to fix it, right? Okay, so I'm going to help you fix it. Okay, so one of the first things is that, I'm looking at my notes, but I have discovered for myself, and I'm thinking that if I've discovered this for myself in these particular things, that most likely you're like me, that you've had these issues too, and that you've had these kind of things happen to you. So I'm just sharing my information with you and the experiences that I've had, and maybe you can maybe you can use it to relate to your own life or not. But I'm just going to share the things that I've discovered. So that's kind of like a little disclaimer. It doesn't mean everyone experiences everything the same way. But anyway, the first thing that I've discovered is after I've defined why I was stressed out and why, I'm not saying that I never get stressed out, but I have a better handle on how to maneuver through being stressed. And I can recognize, because I'm immediately able to go internally and figure out what's stimulating that, what's causing that to surface, that particular emotion. Because stress is basically emotion. So what we need to do is identify what exactly your stress is. So a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm stressed. Well, there's different aspects of stress, right? There's stress where you could be screaming at people. Like maybe that's how you release stress, or when you have stress, that's what you're doing. Some people shop, some people drink, some people do drugs, some people escape, some people stay at work long amounts of time, some people have affairs, some people flirt, some people do this. All of these things are emotions, which are basically, the foundation is stress, okay? But we do things in a different way to distract from that particular emotion. And I'm here to tell you that I've discovered that once you've discovered what the issue is about stress, maybe it's about money, or maybe it's about your parents are passing away, or one's dying, one's on hospice or something, or you're going through a divorce, or your kids are into drugs and you can't deal with them and you have to be out at work and you can't watch them like a hawk, or there's a numerous amounts. I could go on, the list could go on. But how we deal with stress, it has to do with, we need to define what the stress, the emotion is actually. So you need to like sit in the moment of when you feel that stress coming on. Some people are living with stress 7/24. They don't even know when they're not having stress. But what you need to do is when it's elevated, like say for instance, you feel like, oh, I'm getting irritated, like because mine was, I would scream at everybody, like rage. And that's because that's how I knew how to deal with it, because I was conditioned to see in my experiences and in my circumstances in life, my environment, that's how everyone in my family did, right? My mom would either scream at us and yell and rant and rave around the house. My father would drink to oblivion and just fighting and screaming and throwing things. And so that's how they dealt with it. So that's what I did in turn when I left and started trying to, like dealing with kids that are trying to be potty trained, and I'm trying to, take care of 4 kids and cook and whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, okay, so I'm rambling, but my whole point is that once you get into that emotion, then you need to identify exactly where that emotion is coming from. And a lot of people aren't going to want to, you might not even want to do this, but I'm telling you that if you really want to have a happy life that you love, to create this kind of lifestyle, you have to do certain things. Like I'm asking you to dig deep into those waters of emotions that you might not want to dig deep into, because, maybe you've been pacifying it with, hanging out with friends nonstop, going and partying on the weekend. Maybe you've been doing it by overeating and now you're overweight and you're thick. There could be different things. And I don't mean to sound like harsh when I say that, but I'm saying that these are all just covers of externally that we're trying to cover up internally, because The second thing is I feel like, so the first one is I want you to sit in your emotion for a minute. Try to discover and identify what emotion is coming up and where it's stemming from. The second thing I want you to do is to be okay with that feeling, because a lot of people don't want to feel. That's why you're doing what you're doing. That's why you're eating. That's why you're partying. That's why you're getting drunk. That's why alcoholics, because I speak from experience, because not from experience that I was an alcoholic, but that I lived in an alcoholic home. And so those emotions are being driven by something internally that you're not taking care of. You're not addressing these things. So your life is going to spin and spiral out of control. It's just a matter of time. Because like I said, it's a law. Laws are governed, and it's just a matter of fact. It's just, that's how the world works. So I want you to sit in that emotion and sit in that feeling and be okay with it, because you're okay. It's okay that you're feeling stressed. It's okay that you have all these feelings that you don't want to look at and don't want to have to deal with, because a lot of things in our lives are a crap load of. Sometimes life is freaking hard, and I get that. I totally get it. I'm not kidding you. I totally understand. So, so after we identified the second feeling of understanding what that emotion is, I think the third thing is that when we have stress, it's just a form of our internal selves not loving ourselves and being accepting of who we are. There's something inside of you that you've shut off. There's feelings that you've not addressed because you're too afraid, or you're too afraid to feel. So I want you to start doing that. I want you to feel those emotions. And that might be hard to do, but I would really encourage you to do that. And you might have a lot of stuff start bubbling out. And if you need to journal that or something like that, that's totally fine. I think that's really good, because we're going to talk about journaling and writing our feelings down too. So after you've done those three things, I just want you to remember, to do your affirmations again. Just remember that even though I'm feeling this stress, I love myself. I can handle this. Everything that you have and need in life for you to heal, you have within yourself already. You don't need to go looking for something else. You don't need to go buy something. You don't need to go get drunk for the weekend because you don't want to deal with your things, or go out with friends and have a nice dinner and fill your face full of food and calories that you don't need. Just know that everything that you have and need is within you. And I'm looking forward to our next several videos, and I hope that this was helpful, and I want to help you. I want to be here for you and want to help serve in any way that I can. And I don't want you to be stressed. It's no fun being stressed. It's terrible. You're living in chaos. It's chaos in your mind if it's not externally in your environment. So I want you to know that I love you. I'm so thankful that you're watching, and don't forget to subscribe. And I look forward to talking to you again on Thursday. Ciao! I'm yours until my next swim.